Now at 6, this is Fox 61, Connecticut's news station.
Good evening and thanks for joining us for the Fox 61 News at 6. I'm Brent Harden.
And I'm Sarah Sanchez.
The 28-year-old woman wanted in connection with the death of her own 2-year-old daughter in Bertie County, North Carolina, has been arrested in Wethersfield as a fugitive from justice.
Raja Drain was arrested after police were called for a domestic-related incident. Fox 61's Alicia Hercules was in the courtroom where Drain faced a judge, and she tells us the latest on the case.
The Bertie County Sheriff Tyrone Ruffin says 2-year-old Jamie Drain died from blunt force trauma to the head.
You consent to your delivery to the duly accredited agents of the demanding state. You waive the issuance and service of a warrant of extradition and all other extradition proceedings.
Yes. Raja Sophia Drain was emotional in the courtroom as she waived an extradition hearing. She agreed to return to North Carolina to face charges in connection to the murder of her 2-year-old daughter. She faces several charges there, including murder and felony child abuse. At a press conference held by the Bertie County Sheriff's Office, Sheriff Ruffin says first responders were called to a home for an unresponsive child on December 2nd last year.
Raja Drain, who is the mother of the child, stated that she was cooking when baby Jamie Drain failed, began foaming at the mouth and shaking.
He says results from the autopsy tell a different and more sinister story than what Drain initially told police.
The medical professionals advised that the child suffered injuries to the brain and the tissues around the brain, and baby Jamie Drain died in the hands of her mother, Raja Drain.
The 2-year-old's father and loved ones could also be seen holding the child's photo.
I finally can get some rest now. My baby can rest in peace.
Drain was arrested by police in Wethersfield for a separate domestic incident. During their investigation, they found that Drain had a warrant out of Bertie County for homicide. A protective order was issued against Drain stemming from the domestic incident. Drain is being held on $2 million bond. She's expected to appear in court again on October 23rd. The judge says if North Carolina representatives come to Connecticut before that date, she'll be extradited back there to face her charges. In New Britain, Alicia Hercules, Fox 61.
A convicted felon's been charged of being involved in a person's overdose death in Naugatuck that happened earlier this year.
Rodney Coriano of Bridgeport is charged with first-degree manslaughter and sale of hallucinogenics or narcotics. Records show he has an extensive criminal history. He's been arrested 14 times and convicted in other overdose death cases. Police tell us Coriano broke his parole at the time of the March overdose. Lieutenant Alexia McMasters details what happened in the early morning of March 23rd.
Officers located the victim, James Gramellini, at his residence. Despite the efforts of responding officers and Naugatuck EMS, Gramellini was pronounced dead at the scene. While on scene, detectives located bags which contain a powdery substance consistent with heroin and fentanyl. During their investigation, detectives learned that Coriano sold narcotics to Gramellini.
Now, the medical examiner determined the man died from acute intoxication due to the combined effects of fentanyl, cocaine, and ethanol. The 51-year-old victim's family was there today, and their message, they hope justice is served.
At this time, Coriano will be removed from the streets and held accountable for his actions. Today, on the eve of what would have been my brother's 52nd birthday, I can only hope that this is the final life that Rodney will be responsible for. My brother was a good man, a union steward for many years.
It's unclear when Coriano will appear in court next. We'll provide updates as we learn more. Police arrested a Hartford man in connection with the deadly shooting in Waterbury.
Police say 37-year-old LaTroy Young was taken into custody without incident. The victim has been identified as 29-year-old Frank Garay of Hartford. Young faces charges including conspiracy to commit murder and illegal possession of a gun. He is being held on $1 million bond. Detectives are still looking for another suspect, 45-year-old Gerald Brown, also known as Jerry Brown. If you know where he is, contact Waterbury Police.
The man accused of shooting 5 people at the Brass Mill Center Mall in Waterbury had his pre-trial hearing today. Tawan Washington has pleaded not guilty to all the charges against him, including 5 felony assault charges. Police say he opened fire inside the mall in May after an argument. All those bystanders who were hit survived.
And a Connecticut funeral director who's facing dozens of felony charges will have to wait another week for his next court appearance. Philip Petrus from Enfield had his case continued today, and his next scheduled court appearance is a week from today. Coventry police say he defrauded 22 people by selling them fraudulent funeral contracts. He is also charged with embezzlement and forgery, all felony charges, and this on top of a larceny charge he faces from an arrest back in April when he was accused of spending his customers' money but not providing the services they paid for. Petrus was the funeral director and embalmer for Petrus Family Funeral Homes in East Windsor, Vernon, Coventry, and Tolland. And the New Haven jury has convicted a 22-year-old man in the 2021 murder of a Hamden teen. Prosecutors say Lamont Quadir Smith Reed shot and killed 18-year-old Samaj Reddick Streeter near a Hamden convenience store. Smith Reed was arrested in 2022 after a year-long investigation. A jury found him guilty of murder and conspiracy this week. He is scheduled to be sentenced in December and could face decades behind bars. Man is in the hospital after a hit and run in Bethel. Police say they found the man unresponsive on Nashville Road just after 8 last night. We're told he was hit by a car that was traveling north and the driver never stopped. Investigators say the car is a white 4-door sedan with damage to the passenger side. Bethel police are asking anyone with information about what happened to call them right away.
Greenwich police say a man was hurt after trying to stop thieves from stealing his car. It happened early this morning. It happened around 5 on the west side of town. Witnesses thought they heard gunfire. Investigators later found a shell casing in the stolen car. Police say the victim's injuries came from shrapnel, not a direct gunshot wound. Officers later found the car in Bridgeport and took somebody into custody. Police stress to never confront a thief and to call 911 instead.
And a driver was taken to Danbury Hospital to be checked out after a single car crash in Brookfield. Around 8:15 last night, emergency crews rushed to Wisconsin Road in Brookfield after reports of a crash, and they found a car flipped over. The road was shut down for about an hour while crews cleared the wreckage and made the area safe for traffic again.
Manchester police officers recovering after his foot was reportedly run over by a suspect's car overnight. Police say the driver of a white Acura TL struck a cruiser on Rachel Road around 3 a.m. The officer was outside his vehicle when the Acura rolled over his foot. That officer is expected to be okay. Investigators say the Acura has heavy front end damage and mismatched plates. They don't have a driver description right now. The suspect did drive off, and police are asking other departments to keep watch. Police in Newington say they stopped a Dodge Challenger that led officers on a chase through several towns. They finally pulled over the driver on Main Street in West Hartford with help from West Hartford police. Canine Ray alerted officers to drugs in the car. Inside, they say they found nearly 4 grams of meth and drug paraphernalia. The driver first called himself Ghost, but police later learned that he is 21-year-old Tanner Flory from Summers. He has been charged and is due in court October 6th.
I know about the art of the deal. There's also something called a deal is a deal.
Work resumed today on the offshore wind turbine project Revolutionary Wind after a stop work order last month from the Trump administration left thousands out of work with billions of dollars on the line.
Yeah, Fox 61's Victoria Anderson breaks down what this new start means for the project.
Contract is a contract.
It's as simple as that. That was a message from Governor Ned Lamont after a judge in D.C. ruled that work can continue on the Revolution Wind project.
Welcome to the city of New London, the proud port and the proud city of Revolution Wind.
The sounds of New London's port make it an unlikely spot for a press conference.
That this project moves forward.
But the clamor of construction fit right into a celebration of jobs, according to Rhode Island Governor Dan McKee.
So I want to thank the people who are banging that on that building over there right now. Those people who we're putting people to work at really good paying jobs. Yeah.
Thousands of workers are now clocking back in after a federal judge overturned the Trump administration's August halt order on the offshore wind project.
And Revolution Wind is back.
The administration alleges that the offshore project interferes with DoD missions, a claim Connecticut Congressman Joe Courtney quickly shut down with permits from that very department.
From the Department of Defense, dated December 11, 2024, it stated that this project, quote, would have no adverse impacts to DoD missions in the area.
The project, already 80% completed, will create more than 2% of both Connecticut and Rhode Island's electricity needs. And for workers, this job is a way to pay for their basic needs.
Actually, tomorrow we'll be flying out to the vessel and start construction again. So.
Kevin Reardon has been working on Revolution Wind as a millwright for more than a year and tells us stops like this are rare.
We're going to pick up right where we started off. We have a great system out there, and we'll continue to do that and produce turbines.
The lawsuit from the states and developers is still ongoing, but so is communication between the plaintiffs and the White House.
I know the White House has said this is not the last word, but I have a positive spin on that. That's because we're continuing to discuss how we work together going forward.
Both governors have hinted at a possible deal with the administration, with talks of the states leaning into a broader energy grid with nuclear and natural gas. But with many questions still unanswered, the sound of work
this project moves forward
is carrying a celebratory tune for both states.
I love that. That to me, that's the sound of opportunity and progress.
Officials tell us that the construction team does have its work cut out for them, but they're not expecting any delays to the original timeline of the plan. Reporting in New London, Victoria Anderson, Fox 61.